Hello lovelies, and welcome back to another video. And if this is your first time here, ahoy and welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. Today we're going to be talking about a new release from Nomad Cosmetics, and it is their Cruise collection. In this collection they have 2 eyeshadow palettes and 2 highlighters. I did just pick up the 2 eyeshadow palettes and I'm so excited to get to play with both of them today. They have an all matte palette that is the Coastal Cruise palette and an all shimmer palette that is the Aurora Cruise, and I'm so excited to just dive into both of these with you and create a beautiful shimmery and deep and grungy look. And I'm so excited to show you how we got this look today. In this collection, when you order it, it does come with this cute little postcard. It shows off this beautiful cruise ship at the sunset, and then it's got some information on the back all about the cruise collection. It tells you just the destination and just some information about what all is included, and it also tells you the cause. It says, "We are proud to support Ocean Conservancy and their work to keep our oceans healthy and thriving." And I just think that is so cool that Nomad Cosmetics, every time they release a palette, they always have a cause to go with it. They support something related to what the palette is about, and I just think that's so cool. They support so many causes all over the world, and it really is just so special and so meaningful. I cannot wait to dive into both of these palettes with you. There is this beautiful palette, the Coastal Cruise. It is absolutely gorgeous. The packaging is so stunning, and I'm going to go ahead and pop it out of the box and we'll take a look at the palette itself. It is so stunning on the outside, and then this beautiful all matte color story is so gorgeous, and I'm so excited just to show you just the depth and the richness of all of the mattes in here as we take some swatches and create a beautiful blend in the crease using these shades. And then also there is the Aurora Cruise palette, and it is so shimmery and shiny and stunning, and the packaging definitely represents the beautiful shimmers on the inside. So just as the Coastal Cruise palette is an all matte palette, this one is an all shimmer palette, and it is absolutely breathtaking. It is so gorgeous. All of the shades in here are so lovely. They are so bright and rich and vibrant, and I can't wait to show you the swatches of these as well as how they perform on the eye, the way that they all blend together. It is so stunning. So I cannot wait to go ahead and dive into this look, show you the swatches, the tutorial, and share some of my thoughts about both of these palettes with you. So come along with me and let's make up the rules. Both of these palettes are so stunning in their own way. I absolutely love this shimmer palette, the Aurora Cruise. It is so pretty. It just has such beautiful, bright, and vibrant shimmers in here. I love that there is just a range. There's some pinks and purples, oranges, blues, greens. There's all different colors in here, and so many of the shades in here have such a beautiful shift in the light. And so I'm really excited to get to dive into these different shimmers and to get to play with them. I just think they are so pretty, and I think they're going to create a lot of very unique looks. And then I love how different the Coastal Cruise is. It is just so kind of muted and deep and dark and beautiful. It definitely reminds me of just kind of the riverbank or maybe the side of a lake. It really has more of that kind of feel more than the ocean kind of feel, which the Aurora Cruise kind of leans more into. So I love that they are different, but I also love that they really complement each other very well in terms of the color story. So if I hold them up side by side, you can really see there's a lot of pinks and blues and oranges and purples in both of them. Well, not so much in the Coastal Cruise for the purple, but the other shades, they definitely kind of pair up in the 2 palettes, and so I think that's really cool, and I think it's going to be really cool to be able to kind of play with both palettes at the same time and to really get to see how they blend together. So I'm really excited to go ahead and take some swatches. We'll take a look at each of them individually, and then we'll get into our tutorial for today. Taking a look first at the Coastal Cruise palette, this is such a beautiful color story. It is so deep and grungy. There are such deep and dark colors in here. I absolutely love it. Even the shade right here is called Ocean Depths, and that really defines what this palette is all about. It just has so much just depth that really just represents the ocean. It represents these deep waters, and so I absolutely love this kind of palette. Even the lightest shades in here, this one up here, Sand Print, was very very distinct and it definitely had a lot of depth to it. So even some really light shades in here really pack a lot of punch when you take the swatches of them. And I'm sure when you have eye primer on, it's going to be even deeper and darker. So I'm really excited to get to play with the shades in this palette. I think they were absolutely gorgeous. I really love how this palette is arranged, how there are different columns that really represent the different color stories, but then they all just kind of mix and blend together as well. We've got a lot of just kind of pink leaning tones, more neutrals, greens, blues, and then even some more neutrals and going into a deep dark black shade, the Silent Abyss shade. It is absolutely gorgeous, and I love a deep dark matte black that's in a palette. It really helps you just create so much depth in your look. So I really love that the Coastal palette really leans a little bit more into the depth and the darkness, and then we kind of have a flip when we look at the Aurora Cruise palette, and we have all of these beautiful bright vibrant shimmer. It's so much lighter and it has so much more brightness to it than the Coastal Cruise palette. So I love that they kind of play off of each other in their color stories, but then they also have their differences with just kind of the mood that they bring to your looks. And so I think this is an absolutely gorgeous palette that's swatched beautifully. There are so many shifty shades in here. I was absolutely blown away as I was taking the swatches. Some of the shades in here that really stood out to me, this Morning Mist shade was absolutely beautiful. It's kind of got some blue and some green in it. Prism Tide is so beautiful. It's kind of got a light iridescent blue, almost a little bit silver in it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. One that really shocked me that looks kind of unassuming in the pan was this Tidal Reflections shade. It's really deep and dark in the pan, and then when you apply it, it applies almost like a brown with some gold reflect in it. It is really, really pretty. And then also this Golden Hour shade is so gorgeous. It looks kind of like a light orange tangerine shade in the pan, but when you apply it on a swatch, it's got some pink in it also, so it definitely gives just kind of that early morning or sunset kind of vibe. You've got the orange and the pink, and they play off of each other so beautifully. So this palette is absolutely gorgeous. They both are, and it's funny to look at them side by side and even look at the swatches side by side and just to see that they have so much contrast and so much difference to them, but I think they're going to work together really well and create some depth with the mattes and then some bright shimmer with the Aurora Cruise palette, and I think we're really going to be able to create a very unique and very versatile look. Of course, these are magnetic palettes, so you can take shades out of both of them and mix and match if you want to. I don't prefer to do that. I like to keep all of the shade names with the shades that they belong to, and I just kind of want to keep them separated. But definitely if you like to mix and match, or maybe if you're traveling and you just want to take one palette, these would be great to be able to mix and match. And I think there's a lot of similarities in the color story between the two, even though the vibes and the mood that they both give is so different. So I think that's really cool, and I think they're really, really pretty, and I think they're going to look beautiful together. So I'm really excited to dive into a tutorial and really get to use both of these, combine the different shades, and see how they all turn out together. So let's go ahead and prime our eyes and get ready for that look. I think for this look, I really want to go into it really looking at just kind of a coral reef ocean inspired look. I've got my dress on with my kind of coral reef on it, and then I've got these earrings that I picked up at Box Lunch recently. They're actually a Disney Princess collection for The Little Mermaid. If you're interested in these, I do have a Lovisa and Box Lunch haul video that I did. I'll put the link for that in the description box below, and I did pick these up and showcase them in that video. But I do want to just kind of play on the blues and the green and a little bit of pink and orange from my earrings and just really tie all of those together. I definitely want to use as many shades from both of these beautiful palettes as I can today, so I'm really going to just kind of dive in and play with the mattes, play with the shimmers, and just really create a beautiful, deep, and just kind of ocean inspired look today. So I did go ahead and prime my eyes off camera. I used my Ulta Beauty Pigment Pop Eye Primer. It is a beautiful white primer that really helps all of your colors pop, so I think that's going to really help with these beautiful shades in these palettes. So I'm going to start out with the mattes in the Coastal Cruise palette, and I think for my inner corner I want to go with a really beautiful bright kind of minty green. So I'm going to go in with this beautiful Coastal Fog shade. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it definitely has just kind of a bluish greenness to it, and I think that's going to play very nicely with the dress that I have on today. I'm going to go in with an Ace Beauté Paletteopoly collection brush. This is brush P2, and I'm just going to pick it up with this blending brush and grab some of that Coastal Fog shade, and I'm going to just start applying this right here on the inner corner and really just start to build up some pigment and some color here as we are looking at just kind of a bright inner corner shade. And I think this one is really pretty, and I think it's going to tie all of the blues and the greens together very nicely. It's sort of a middle shade between blue and green, and I think you can start to really see there is so much pigment there. It is absolutely gorgeous, and so it's definitely very buildable. I was seeing that with the swatches. I could really just start to apply more and more pigment, and it would just continue to get deeper and grungier, and it was absolutely gorgeous. So I'm just going to start kind of applying this right here on the inner corner, pulling this up into the inner part of my crease and my lid, and just slightly underneath the eye as well. So I just really want to get a lot of surface area here and really start to just build up that pigment. And it is absolutely gorgeous. It's building up very beautifully, and I feel like it's even kind of leaving just kind of this light kind of iridescence on the inner corner. It's a very, very pretty shade. So just continuing to build that up and just kind of blending it out a little bit with my brush. And like I said, even the lighter shades in this palette have so much depth to them. You can definitely see this is a very, very light shade here in the pan, but it is showing up so beautifully pigmented on the eye. So I love that about this palette. I think it's going to have just so much kind of deep grunginess to it. And I'm really excited to see how all of the shades blend together. So I'm pretty happy with how that looks. I'm going to go ahead and put some on the other side, and then we'll continue to deepen out the crease. That is so pretty. I cannot get over how just cool and minty that shade is. I think it is just absolutely stunning on the lid and as an inner corner highlight. So as I continue to look at this palette, I do want to play into the blues and the greens and really just kind of blend them and mix them and just create a really cool look all the way across the crease. So I think for my next shade, I do want to go lighter and then of course get darker as we go to the outer corner. So I think I'm going to go in with this beautiful light blue here, Cool Current, and I'm going to just kind of continue that Coastal Fog shade as I continue across the crease and just continue to build up this shade. So I'm using that same P2 brush. I'm not cleaning off in between, just picking up a little bit of pigment and then just starting to blend this right along that Coastal Fog shade across the crease and just continuing to build and blend these shades together. And I'm not going to use a whole lot of this one because I do want to use some other shades and start to deepen up as we're starting to get closer to the outer corner. So I'm just going to put this just kind of right here on kind of this inner third of my eye and just really blending it and starting to get a little bit more of a blue shade to go along with that kind of bluish green that we've already applied. And that is really pretty, just a little bit of color, and then we're going to continue to deepen with some of the other ones. And then continuing on with those blues, I'm going to go next into Quiet Wake. This is kind of a beautiful, just kind of grungy middle tone blue shade. So I'm going to pick some of this up on that same brush, just continuing the same process, and just continue to move across the crease, blending this into that Cool Current shade, and just continuing to blend across the lid. So this is really pretty. You can definitely see we're starting to get a little more depth and a little bit more grunginess, and I absolutely love that. I want this to have a lot of depth to it, especially as we're getting into these really deep blues and green shades, and I think it's going to look really pretty in this outer corner. So again, just kind of blending that across, just blending it into the other shades, making sure there's no harsh lines, and just making sure everything is just nice and cohesive across the crease. That is so pretty. You really can't even tell where one shade starts and the next one starts. They just blend together so beautifully, and I absolutely love that. So now I've played a lot with the blues, and I do want to move a little bit more into some of these green shades. So I'm going to go next into this beautiful green shade here. This one is called Driftwood. It is absolutely stunning, and I'm going to just continue that same process with that same brush and just pick some of this up and just continue to move this towards the outer corner. And I definitely just kind of want this to give just kind of ocean water vibes, and I really want everything just, you know, as the ocean waters are reflecting in the sunlight, and as the waves move, they have different shades and different just kind of emotion to them. And so I really want to kind of capture that in this blend with these blues and these greens, and I think that's definitely being conveyed here. You can really see there's just a lot of shift and a lot of just kind of movement to this look. So I think that's really pretty, and I love just kind of blending these blues and greens together. I think it's really creating a very unique contrast and a really pretty look. So I'm very excited about just how these are blending together. This is so pretty, and I absolutely just love the blend on these. So now that we're moving towards this outer corner, I really want to get really deep with the shades in here. And so I'm going to just kind of be blending these two deep shades together. They are so pretty. We've got Open Water, which is a really deep blue, and then Ocean Depths, which is a really deep green. So of course I really want to kind of play on those, and the blues and greens we already have in the crease, and really just continue to deepen up. So I'm probably just going to kind of go back and forth between these two and really just start to kind of build up this outer corner. So I'm going again with that same brush into Open Water, that really deep blue shade, and just going to pick up some of this, and I'm picking up a little bit at a time, and I'll continue to build up as needed. But I'm going to just start focusing this right here on the outer corner of the lid, this outer V, and just really start to get some depth in this look. And that is such a beautiful blue shade. It is really pretty, and that's just a little bit of product. So I definitely want to continue just to build up and blend this out into those other shades that we've already applied, and really start to kind of get some depth and pigment here. And I'm going to pull this up a little bit also into the crease, and just kind of using circular motions, blending it into those other shades, and really starting just to blend this in. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I love, like I said, the blues and the greens, and I'm just kind of using my brush. Like I said, I haven't been cleaning it off in between, and I'm just kind of running it back over some of the other shades, making sure I don't have any patchiness, and making sure everything is blended. And I really like the effect that that's giving, because I feel like it is really blending the blues and greens. You kind of just can't tell where any of the shades start or end. I think it's just really creating a very nice blend all the way across. So that is absolutely gorgeous. I love how that blue shade is looking. It's really giving just a lot more depth to the look, and really blending very nicely even into those other green shades that we had more on the outer corner. So it's really, really pretty, creating such a beautiful just kind of ocean depth vibe and look. And now I'm also going to dip into that ocean depth shade, that really beautiful deep green, and just go ahead and kind of apply this also into the outer corner, and just really blending it into that deep blue open water shade, just to really blend these together and create a really deep outer corner. So this is just so pretty. I love how all these shades are blending together. I love just kind of pulling everything across with my brush that has just all of the shades just kind of blended in it already, and just really creating a nice beautiful blend. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love the formula of these mattes. They are so just smooth and easy to work with. They're very buildable, very blendable, and really, again, just easy to work with. Easy just to create so much dimension in this look. And I feel like there is just so much cohesion in this color story. There's so many blues and greens to play with that you really can just create such a dynamic look just by using all the different shades. And so I think that's really cool, and I think they did a fantastic job with this color story. I think it really captures just that coastal cruise and that coastal vibe that they're going for. And then all of the shades are just so pretty in terms of eyeshadows and just usability and just the versatility of them. So I just think they're so pretty, and I just think this is creating such a beautiful and deep grungy kind of look, and I absolutely love it. And I think once we dip into these shimmers and really start to brighten this look up, it's going to be so pretty, and I think it's going to go so nicely using the Coastal Cruise palette and the Aurora Cruise palette, and really mixing all those shades together. I am absolutely in love with these blues and greens and the ways that they blended together. I think they're so pretty. Before we move into the Aurora Cruise palette, I do want to put a little bit more matte on the lower lash line. So I want to go ahead and do that, and then we'll just move into all our shimmers at the same time. So going back into the Coastal Cruise palette, I really want to focus more on these three shades over here and creating a little bit more of kind of a pink orange kind of look along the lower lash line. I think that's going to pull really nicely into the earrings that I have on, especially the blues and greens go so well with this dress. So I think just really kind of playing on those different shades is going to be really pretty and add a lot more dynamic to this look. So I'm going to go in with another Ace Beauté Paletteopoly brush. This one is P4. It's a little bit more of a small detailing kind of blending brush, and I'm going to just go into these three shades, and I'm going to go from lightest to darkest. So we're starting with First Light, moving into Harbor Rose, and then Evening Horizon, and I'm just going to just really kind of play on those three shades and just blend them together across the lower lash line. So I'm going to start with First Light. I'm going to pick some up on my P4 brush, and I'm just going to line this all the way underneath my lower lash line and just really start to get a little bit of pigment. Of course, this one is the lightest of the three, so it's just going to kind of give me a base to really start to deepen up a little bit along the lower lash line, but I do want to just start getting a little bit of pigment. And like I said, when we were taking the swatches, I definitely feel like even the lightest shades in this palette have a lot of depth to them. And so even this First Light shade, I feel like you can really start to see it's building up some pigment here. And then of course, as we're moving into the darker shade, it's just going to continue to deepen up the lower lash line and create a really pretty look. But I just wanted to have just a nice light base that we can kind of play on with some of the darker shades. So again, just kind of lightly back and forth, just lining this under my lower lash line, just kind of building up just a nice thick line of this shade, and just kind of using slight circular motions just to kind of blend it out and make sure I don't have any harsh lines. Next, I'm going to dip into that Harbor Rose shade, that more kind of middle shade. When I swatched this one, it was really pretty. It's a beautiful shade. So I'm going to just pick that up on that same brush, and I'm probably going to pull this half to 3/4 of the way across my lower lash line and just continue just to build up this kind of pink orange type shade along the lower lash line. And I think it is absolutely gorgeous with those blues and greens. I think those complement each other very, very well, and I think it's really pretty. So again, just kind of pulling it most of the way across my lower lash line, putting it over that First Light shade, and just kind of blending those together. I don't completely want to lose the First Light shade. I do want there to be just a little bit of it, but it is the lightest of the three we're about to apply, so I definitely want to have more depth than not. So I'm just continuing just to blend that in and continuing to layer, and it's so pretty. It's continuing to just get a little bit more depth and just really deepen up the lower lash line, and of course with this third shade we're really going to deepen it up a lot more. So moving into Evening Horizon, again, just picking some of this up on my brush. This one is very deep and very beautiful. I'm just going to put this right here along the edge of the lower lash line, probably about halfway across. That way you can just kind of see sort of a staircase effect across the lower lash line with the three shades. It just continues to go from light to medium to dark and just creates a lot more interest and a lot more depth as we're moving more towards the outer corner, and a lot more lightness as we move to the inner corner. So I think that's really pretty. These are blending together so beautifully. They just go seamlessly into each other like butter. It is so pretty and just really creates so much depth and dimension into your look, blending all the shades together and really creating some unique shades out of what's in this palette. So I think that's so pretty, and definitely as we have so much depth with the blues and green on the outer corner on the top, having that depth in the lower lash line outer corner I think is really pretty, and it complements that very well. I'm just kind of using soft circular motions, just kind of blending that in. I don't want any harsh lines. I want everything to just blend into each other seamlessly. And with this palette and how easily blendable these are, that's really easy to do, which is so nice. So I'm just blending this out and just creating a little bit of depth along that the lower lash line on the outer half. I am so happy with how all of these mattes have blended together and how they look. I'm really excited for just the deep grungy mattes on this look, and then I really want to go ahead and start to lighten it up with some pops of shimmer from the Aurora Cruise palette. So we're just going to go ahead and dive in. I did go ahead off camera, went in with my NYX glitter primer, and I did put this all over the lid, so I'm primed and ready for some shimmers. I do really want to just start to blend together some blues and greens across the lid, and there are so many to choose from in this palette. I do think that I want to focus mostly on these three shades right here. So we've got Prism Tide, Morning Mist, and Sea Glass. So I really want to just kind of blend all three of those together across the lid and really just get some blue and green to kind of match the mattes that we have. So I think I'm going to start out with Sea Glass. That is this beautiful, bright, shiny green here. And I'm going to put this more towards the outer edge of my lid. And so I'm going to start to apply this right over here and really just start to get some pigment, and it is so shiny, it is so pretty. It is an absolutely gorgeous shade, and I think it's going to be kind of a nice juxtaposition to the deep grungy mattes that we've applied. So I'm really just kind of patting this in right here along this outer third of my lid, just kind of blending it in a little bit into those deep mattes that we had, and really just starting to kind of build up some shimmery pigment on this look. So I think that is just so pretty and really just creating so much lightness to this look that's already really dark and grungy. Next, I'm going to be moving into Prism Tide. That's this one here. It is a really beautiful blue. I was so impressed with this one when I swatched it. It was just so light and so shiny. So I'm just going to go ahead and with another finger, I'm just going to start pressing this into this inner third of my eyelid, kind of the middle part of it, and just start to really kind of blend these two shades together, just kind of pulling it into that Sea Glass shade, because I really want there to be a nice blend of blues and greens. So I'm just kind of going back and forth between those two shades on my finger and just really blending them out and creating this really pretty kind of connection between the two, and really starting to see just where they kind of just overlap and blend into each other, and all those shimmer particles are just kind of mixing, and it is so, so pretty and just creating such a beautiful look. I'm going to pick up just a little bit more of Sea Glass because I definitely don't want to lose that beautiful green shade, and just continue to pick product up and build it up and blend them out. That is absolutely gorgeous. I love how that looks. It's just kind of got this really cool just kind of mixture between the two. It's definitely where the oceans are meeting, and I think that's really, really pretty. So now I do want to go into one more shade, and that's going to be this beautiful Morning Mist shade. It is so pretty and so shifty. So I'm just going to pick this up on another finger and just continue to blend all of these out. Just picking a little bit up and putting this on this inner third. I really like this shade especially because it's kind of got a shift from blue to green in it already, so I think it's going to look really nice with those other two shimmers that we've applied, and of course with the blend of blue and green mattes that we've already put on the crease. So again, just kind of putting some of that on and going back and forth with the shimmers on my finger and just kind of blending them in. So I'm picking up a little bit more of that beautiful blue Prism Tide shade and really building it up on the center of the lid and pulling it a little bit into that Morning Mist shade and really just kind of creating a really pretty cohesive look. So I'm just going to continue to go back and forth until I'm really happy with the blend that I have and just how everything kind of lays together. And I'm also going to put some on the other side, and then I'll be back in just a moment, and we'll add a little bit more shimmer as we go into the lower lash line and the inner corner. I am so happy with the blend on those blue and green shimmers. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. Now I do want to move a little bit more into the lower lash line and play more on those pinks and oranges and really create a little bit more of a lightness and shimmer down there as well. So I'm going to go in with this beautiful golden hour shade. Like I mentioned earlier, this one kind of has a beautiful shift from pink to orange that I think is going to look really pretty. So I'm going in with a detailing brush from Real Technique, and I'm just going to pick a little bit of this up on my brush, and then I'm just going to give it a quick spritz of setting spray, and I'm going to go ahead and start applying this a little bit along the lower lash line, just kind of meeting where those mattes are. and just start to create a little bit more of a dimension and a little bit more of a lightness along the lower lash line. So I'm just very gently just kind of using swiping motions, pulling back and forth, and really just applying this just right here on kind of this inner part of the lower lash line where we had that really light kind of pink shade, and just kind of blending this in. And I think that adds just a little bit more lightness to the lower lash line and just really kind of complements those shimmers from the lid very well. And then just to finish off the shadows for this look, I do want to go in with this beautiful light shimmer shade Dancing Sunlight, and I went ahead and cleaned off that Real Techniques brush, so I'm going to use that one as well, and just go ahead and do the same process. Pick up a little bit of product on my brush, give it a spray of setting spray, and then I'm just going to apply this just right here on the inner corner and really just kind of build up just a little bit of lightness right here and just kind of connect the blue and green shimmers to that kind of orangey pink shimmer on the bottom, and really just create a nice cohesion and just a little bit of pop here on the inner corner. And I think that's really pretty, and I think that's the perfect shade just to pull everything together. I am absolutely so happy with how this look has turned out. I think it is so pretty. I love how all of the mattes and the shimmers have blended together. It is so stunning. I am going to go ahead and step off camera and add some finishing details, and I'll be back in just a moment for us to take a look at the final look. And here's the final look. I'm so happy with how this turned out. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. All of the mattes and the shimmers are so beautiful. I love how both of these palettes blended together and created such a cohesive look. And then I also just love how all of the mattes themselves blended together and how all the shimmers blended. I'm just so happy with it. I think it's really pretty. It's so sparkly and fun, and definitely just reminds me of the ocean, the sunlight hitting the ocean, a nice beautiful cruise. It is just so pretty. For my finishing details, I went in and tight lined on the top and lined just a little bit on my lid with the Ulta Beauty Automatic Eyeliner in Matte Black. I went in the lower lash line in my waterline. I wanted to just kind of match those pink shades, so I went in with my Ulta Beauty Automatic Eyeliner in Matte Powder Pink. And then for my mascara, I went in with my Tarte Maneater Waterproof Mascara. And then for my lip combo, I wanted to really play on the pinks since there's so much blue and green on the eyeshadow. I really wanted to pull the pink in and really have just a nice pop of kind of pink and a little bit of orange. So I went in with a few different products. I have an automatic lip liner from Ulta Beauty. This is in the shade Fuchsia. And then for my lipstick, I went in with kind of just that corresponding fuchsia shade from Ulta Beauty collection. This is the shade Ladies Night. And then for just that extra sparkle and that little bit of orange and just kind of that pop, I went in with a Wet n Wild Chameleon Chrome Lip Foil. This is in the shade Halo's Way, and it's really pretty. It's beautiful and sparkly. It's just such a fun product, and you can see it added just an extra little pop of glitter and shimmer to this look that I think was really needed and really kind of tied everything together. So again, I'm just so happy with how this look turned out. I'm going to zoom you in for a closer look, and then I'll share just some of my initial thoughts about the Coastal Cruise and the Aurora Cruise palettes from Nomad Cosmetics. I had so much fun creating this look using the two palettes from the Nomad Cosmetics Cruise collection today, and I just want to share just some of my initial thoughts about both of these palettes. Of course, the packaging on them is beautiful, and I would expect nothing less from Nomad, and I love that the Coastal Cruise palette is really pretty, and definitely the color story on the outside of the package represents the color story on the inside. And I hope you can see that the packaging on this one looks matte. It has just a little bit of just kind of a paper finish on it. And then for the Aurora Cruise palette, this one you can see just with the lights catching on it, it has more of a glossiness, and also again it's kind of got that ombre and that range of the colors from pinks to greens, blues, purples, all the shades that are represented on the inside. So I think there was just so much thought and so much creativity that was put into the design of the packaging on this palettes that really just represents both of the palettes so well. I love that they are really similar. The imagery on the front is the same, but it still gives a different mood and a different vibe just because of just the way that it's packaged, the matte versus the glossy, and then the colors on the outside. And of course the color stories on the inside are completely different. They are so pretty. I love that we have an all matte palette. It is so gorgeous. Typically when I create looks, I like to do matte with shimmers like what I did today, but I really, as I was applying the mattes on this look, I felt very inspired that I could create an all matte look using just this palette on its own, and I think it would be beautiful. I loved how all of these mattes blended together. I thought all of the blues and greens across the crease just seamlessly just blended into each other and created just such a beautiful look. So I really think that I would be able to create a lot of versatile looks. I think there's so much range in this palette to be able to mix and match and play with different shades, and really to be able to blend them together and create something very unique and very special. I really enjoyed using all of these blue and green shades all over the lid today. This Coastal Fog shade is so beautiful. It was perfect on the inner corner. Of course, it was a very light shade. It was one of these lightest shades from this top row here, but it still had a lot of depth and a lot of color to it. So I thought that was really cool that even the lightest shades in here have so much depth to them. And it really, this bottom row you can see just has so much deepness to it. And it's just so beautiful and rich and vibrant. There's a little bit of murkiness to this palette. So it is so beautiful, and I think it just blends together so nicely. So I really enjoyed getting to play with the mattes in this palette. But then of course I was very excited to get to jump into these amazing shimmers as well from the Aurora Cruise palette. And I was so happy with how all of these swatched and how the ones that I used today performed on the eyes. I thought this palette was absolutely gorgeous. Just opening it and just looking at the shades in here, it is just so eye-catching, so pleasing, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So I really love the shades in here. I thought all of the blue and green shades that we used today across the lid really just blended into each other. They really complemented one another well. And then of course getting to use this golden hour shade and this dancing sunlight shade just to have some little pops of richness and warmth really complemented these blues and greens very well. It all just kind of tied together, and I really thought that was very pretty. I was so shocked as I was going through and taking my swatches at just how much shift is in so many of these shimmers. They are so beautiful and they have so much just range to them even within each shadow. So I think that is so cool, and that's going to create some beautiful looks. I really enjoyed using this golden hour shade just a little bit on the lower lash line, but I do think creating a look and just putting it all over the lid would really let that shade shine and really give it a chance to have a spotlight on it. So I'm really looking forward to getting to try out more of these shades and really getting to create a lot of different versatile looks. Of course, it's a little easier to do an all matte look than it is to do an all shimmer look. That can be a little overwhelming. So I'm not sure how much I'll do that. I may try that out a couple of times and just do all shimmers and just really go for a bright, fun, vibrant look. But I definitely love that. I feel like this palette is complemented so well by the Coastal Cruise palette, and so you can really create a lot of versatile looks. You can do all matte, you can do all shimmer, you can mix the two. Of course, you could mix any of these with other palettes in your collection. So there really is just no limit to what you can do or what you can create. And then again, of course, if you like the magnetic pans and you want to mix and match the shades from the Coastal Cruise palette and the Aurora Cruise palette, you can always do that as well and just create your own color story that you can just create your own vibrant looks with these. So I just think these palettes are absolutely gorgeous. The packaging is beautiful, the colors are beautiful, just the formula and just the quality of the mattes and of the shimmers is absolutely stunning. So I'm so pleased with these. I'm pleased with the look that I created today, and I can't wait to get to play with both of these more individually as well as together. I I had so much fun getting to play with the Nomad Cosmetics Cruise Collection palettes. This was such a fun video to film, and I love just exploring these two different color stories that just represent cruising and the ocean and the open waters. It is just so much fun just to dive into color stories that really make you feel like you're transported somewhere else. And this one definitely reminded me of several different cruises that my family has gone on, and in particular, it reminded me of a cruise that my husband and I went on last year. We went on a Royal Caribbean cruise, the Grandeur of the Seas, to the Bahamas and Key West, Florida, and it was just so much fun. And I really enjoyed getting to play with these palettes and getting to really reminisce on that trip and just to remember all of the fun memories that we made. And if you are interested in seeing more about that trip, I did create a Chatty Get Ready With Me cruise series as we were on that trip. So every day in our cabin while I was getting ready for the day, I filmed a video and just shared all about everything that we were doing both on the ship and during our excursions, all the fun adventures that we were having. So if you're interested in cruising, as I'm assuming that you are since you're here watching this video, then definitely I think that would be a fun video series for you to check out. I will put a link for all of those videos in the description box below, so definitely go and take some time, watch through those. It was such a fun trip, and I just shared lots of photos and videos from our trip and just all the fun adventures that we got to have. So I would love for you just to be able to check that out and get to experience more of just that cruise life. Thank you so much for clicking on my video today. It really means so much to me for you to just come and to support me, to watch my content, and just to like and comment and share all the things that you do. And I just really appreciate it, and I appreciate you being here. And I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below if you've picked up any of the pieces from the Nomad Cosmetics Cruise Collection and what your thoughts are about them. And I'd also love to hear your thoughts about this look that I've created today. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and hit that like button. And if you would like to see more makeup content, then please subscribe to my channel. I'd love for you to stick around. Until next time, let's be kind to each other, beautiful to ourselves, and never afraid to make up the rules.